story. Remember back in 2004 when Hillary Clinton attacked President Bush for using any kind of pictures of 9/11 in his campaign advertising? Oh, it was just so shameful for him to politicize such a terrible tragedy. Well, the real story is I agree with her, now that she finally disagrees with herself. I want you to take a look at this new Clinton campaign ad. Here's some imagery. Oh my goodness, are those firefighters and her in a mask? The same imagery she was so outraged at the president for using. I guess now that she's running for president herself, she's had a change of heart. And honestly, I have to tell you, I believe that Bush and Clinton are both right for incorporating September 11th into their campaigns. Sadly, politicians only seem to remember the tragedy of 9/11 on the anniversary or maybe just before an election day. Maybe Clinton and every single person in Washington should put a picture of Ground Zero on their desk like I have on mine so they remember the 3,000 lives lost to murderous extremists. There is nothing wrong with politicizing an event that should be shaping our policies. September 11th marked the beginning of a new era in America, and we must remember to never forget. So now that Hillary's unexpectedly changed her position, tonight I thought it was only appropriate that I formally announce that next November I'm going to vote for her, right before I vote against her. Jonathan Martin is a senior writer for the Politico. Jonathan, do I have that Washington speak down? I can change my mind and flip-flop anytime?
Glenn, you could be a U.S. Senator tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
I'd support you.
Okay, my first question, Jonathan, I guess is there no shame or is there just no memory in America and Washington?
Well, I think that on her part, it's a pretty bold move. I mean, I think the fact is that if you had asked anybody in politics who they thought would be the first person to run a commercial invoking 9/11, it would be, Rudy Giuliani. And the fact that she's doing it, Glenn, I think says a lot about, why the Clintons are so good and why they've been very successful in politics over the years, because they are willing to go after issues that have typically been the province of the GOP.
This is not, wait a minute. First of all, the 9/11 does not belong to the GOP. It doesn't belong to the Democrats. It belongs to America.
Of course not,
so,
but
and
national
I think
security.
she played a role, on 9/11. I remember that one scene at Madison Square Garden where they didn't really like her too much, but she played a role. Bush played a role.
Right.
What's amazing is the lack of shame for coming out and blasting people. I'm surprised, honestly, because she's using this commercial for health care. And she's, basically, I'm here to help you. I can help children. I help the firefighters. Why doesn't she just dress up as the Statue of Liberty and say, bring me your tired, huddled masses, vote for me?
Well, I guess my broader point is that she's willing to talk about issues like national security in a way that some Democrats have not in the past, and talking about, as you mentioned, what is a very important day here in American history. And what she's saying is, essentially, she's not going to see that issue, national security, or even that important day to the GOP.
Okay, so is this a sign that, because I can see it either one of two ways, at least, that my simple mind could come up with. One, that it's a sign that she thinks that she may be running against Rudy Giuliani, so get a jump start on owning 9/11, or B, and maybe it's a combination of the two, make sure you reframe the Clinton legacy that is 9/11.
No, I think it's both. I think, first of all, it is kind of a shot across the bow to her fellow New Yorker. But, it's also her way of saying, look, I'm going to talk about issues, and look, I'm going to campaign, in a way that maybe the previous Democrats didn't, but I am not going to be afraid to go after these kind of issues.
Can I, Jonathan, just an honest question as American to American here. And I'm not asking you for a political bent at all. I'm asking you just as a regular guy. Are you ever shocked that on both sides of the aisle, these guys just have no shame? And are you ever shocked that nobody seems to really care? They'll fight so hard for one value, but as soon as it is to their advantage, they'll flip. And Americans will just follow them and be like, whatever.
Well, I think this is why a lot of Americans are cynical about politics and politicians, for exactly that reason, that they often see them as being just beholden to whatever helps them at that moment politically.
Yeah. Cynical. No, not America. Jonathan, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Glenn.
Now for a follow-up on a story on Lynn Stewart and the fact that Hofstra Law School, remember that name, parents, if you're thinking about writing a check for a law school for your kids.